Hi, I'm Ed Merrison from CellarHand. I'm here in the vineyard with Will Byron, 1/3 of Onannon, of course, with Sam, Middleton and Kaspar, Hermann. We're looking at the single vineyard releases from these guys. They're out now. One Chardonnay, 2 Pinot Noirs. This is a Pinot Noir we've got in the glass here, hence the redness. But not a huge amount of redness. This is a very, very light and quite fine Pinot Noir, I would say, from Leongatha, the Gippsland Pinot Noir that these guys make. Well, I don't know if everyone knows that much about sort of where these wines, where Leongatha is. You know, Gippsland has a really, I think, very popular sort of cachet in the world of Pinot Noir in Australia, but of course it's not a lot of it around. So tell us a little bit more about where this comes from.
So yeah, Leongatha, I guess as the crow flies, is an hour and a half from Melbourne, sort of heading predominantly south, I guess halfway to Wilson's Promontory. It's historically dairy growing country, so there's gorgeous rolling green hills. Leongatha, the sub-region of Gippsland, has quite volcanic soils, rich volcanic soils, so always really vigorous growing conditions. And I guess the main thing with Leongatha is it just gets incredible rainfall, so probably gets a couple hundred mils more than the Mornington Peninsula would get.
Yeah, right. So this year's releases, we have the 2020 Chardonnay and the 2 Pinots from 2019. So 2019 in Leongatha, do you remember the year? Well, I was probably dialing it back before COVID, which no one can remember.
Yeah. It was a warmer year, so certainly a more fruit forward year. So we were really conscious coming into that vintage that we wanted to make sure that we got the fruit off, before anything got baked. So pulled it off a little bit earlier in 19 than we have previously. I think I haven't actually visited this wine for a little while, but just would try to catch it in that bright red fruit spectrum, which we just love in Gippsland. Yeah,
right. So how would you normally? I mean, again, hard to characterise exactly because, of course, everything's a generalisation, and Gippsland's bloody huge. It's hard, especially hard to make a generalisation. But what do you look for in those Gippsland Pinot Noirs, then, generally?
Well, just they seem to have bright sort of wild fruit characters. So as soon as we start seeing blue fruit, we're pretty keen to rip it off the vine. The tannins are in this particular vineyard, and look, I haven't had a lot of experience with a lot of the other regions of Gippsland, or sub-regions I should say, but this is great tannin. So the tannins are really fine, and you really see them in the skin. So it's around about, I don't know, it's probably about 3 or 4 weeks after we start picking properly on the Mornington Peninsula that we head down to Gippsland, and around about that 11 Beaumay mark, things are looking pretty good. And so it generally comes off probably a little bit earlier in sugar than the Mornington Peninsula wines.
Yeah, right. Now, just having a look at this, it's my first time tasting it, but yeah, I absolutely agree with you. That sort of wild strawberry, raspberry kind of character that you often get, really quite pretty and precise in a way, but also with a sense of, I don't know, something a bit earthy and wild to it. Very precise for me on the nose, and very pretty and sort of quite delicate. But of course the palate here, probably from that warmer year, has a little bit more presence perhaps than usual. And as you say, the tannins here, I think, are beautiful. They're not, I don't know, it's something kind of a bit Nebbiolo-like to me. Like, they're not as scratchy and invasive, I suppose, as a young Nebbiolo, but they just have that lovely presence, and the way that they sit with that pretty fruit, I think, and the amount of, I suppose, with the acidity as well. The amount of presence that they give to the length on this wine is pretty gorgeous.
Yeah, that comment's been made a few times with our wines, and I'm not sure, it could have something to do with, we usually go a pretty long cold soak to start off with, and then a really long post maceration. So sometimes after the ferment, we'll leave the Pinot on skins for up to 4 weeks.
Right.
So and as you're tasting the ferment in that stage, you do notice a gradual increase and build up of, I guess, those sort of savoury tannins.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely hear you on that, and I guess a little bit of what we try to do with the Gippsland fruit is we're trying to get that tannin out of the skins.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we were saying earlier, like some sour fruit but with ripe tannin is sort of the thing that I think really is what I love about Pinot.
Yeah, no, it's a lovely combo, and that wine works a treat. That is the 2019 Leongatha Single Vineyard Pinot from Will and the boys at Onannon, available now.